I often get people coming into a clinic, and the first day asking me a question like, is smoking causing my headaches? I'm using that as an example, although it's a pretty interesting example. When people come in and ask me about a specific symptom, like is it causing headaches, or is it even causing this lung problem or the circulation problem, my answer has got to be, on the first day of a clinic, is I don't know. It's possible. Cigarettes have the full potential of causing a whole lot of problems. But is it causing your specific problem? Is it the only reason why you're having a symptom? That I really cannot answer. What I tell people to do is quit smoking, see how you feel now that you're off smoking, and if you have a problem that's chronic, that's there every day, that the day you quit smoking, it's hard to tell, even the first few days, because withdrawal's going on. But once you get through the withdrawal period, if all of a sudden you had a chronic condition that starts to get better and better, and then once withdrawal is totally over, and once you're basically free, you're symptom free, and it doesn't seem to come back, well, gosh, you found the cause of your problem. I mean, this is pretty much a no-brainer at this point in time. You had the problem when you smoked, you quit smoking, the problem went away. Well, smoking was probably the cause of the problem. There's some problems that smoking doesn't cause, but it makes worse. In other words, there's other underlying conditions that may still be there, and you may still have problems, but they'll be less severe than when you were smoking. And that's a reality too. So it's not saying that the problem that they had was going to go away, but it probably would be a lot better than if they were smoking on top of a pre-existing condition. Well, headaches was where I started out with, and that's what I titled this one, is smoking causing my headache. I had a situation once where I had a woman come in on a follow-up session. It wasn't even really a follow-up session, it was the next clinic that was starting, and she came the first day and she said she was coming in to reinforce her resolve to stay off smoking, which is fine. I actually encourage people to come the second or third day, because the first day they see a bunch of people nervous about quitting. The second or third day, they'll see a bunch of people in the middle of quitting and realize how far they've come. They're not in withdrawal anymore. They have moments where they want a cigarette, but they're not really having a bad time. When you come in the second or third day, you'll see people in the middle of a quit who may very well be having a pretty rough time and realizing, oh my gosh, I'm so far beyond that I never want to be in that position again, which is why I encourage people to come to those particular sessions. But she came in the first session, and I was doing my whole presentation on the dangers of smoking, and when I was done with the presentation, she raises her hand, and she said, she used to get headaches all the time, chronically. For as long as she could remember, she had headaches, and she quit smoking, and they really have gone away, and she hasn't had a problem now, in well over a month or a month and a half, in between the beginning of the first clinic that she was in and then the next clinic that she was coming into. And she said they're gone, they just haven't come back. And I said, well, yeah, then cigarettes are very likely the cause of the headache. It's not saying other things won't cause headaches down the line, but the chronic headache you were having, cigarettes were either causing it or making it so severe that it was noticeable. And, cigarettes are probably the cause. Well, that was all well and good. It made perfect sense to her. There was a person sitting right next to her who was also in her clinic. And it turns out they were friends, and they both came in for reinforcement this night. And when I looked at her as I was doing this answer, I could just see her jaws open. This woman is in shock. And I'm looking at her, I said, what's wrong? I knew something was up. And she said, I can't believe it. She said, I used to get headaches all the time. The two women never discussed this headache issue. It never came up. They were both quitting smoking, but they never really went into why they were quitting smoking. She said, I used to get headaches every day for as long as I can remember. She said they were bad. They were really, debilitating at times headaches. She said every day when she wakes up, she takes aspirins for this headache. She would take one at her morning break. She would take one at lunchtime. The afternoon break, for some reason, was the optional aspirin. Sometimes she took it, sometimes she didn't, which I guess it meant sometimes she had headaches and sometimes she didn't. So this wasn't like this locked-in kind of aspirin. She would take one at dinner time, and she would take one before she goes to bed. Every day for as long as she could remember. Because of her chronic headache, she was popping aspirins all the time. She's looking at her friend sitting next to her, and she says, I quit when you did. We both quit at the same time. And, you mentioned you're not getting headaches. And now she's sitting and thinking back, and she says, I don't remember for sure whether I've had a headache in the last month. I've just never thought about it. I don't remember a headache in the last month. She says, I'm still taking 5 to 6 aspirins a day. This woman was so habituated into taking aspirins. Now again, they made sense in the beginning when she was a smoker. She was taking them because she had this chronic headache. Well, now she was popping aspirins 5 to 6 times a day. It still seems like the afternoon one seemed to be this optional aspirin. She said, I'm taking 5 to 6 aspirins a day. I don't think I've had a headache in the last month. Now, if anyone had asked her, are you feeling any better since you quit smoking? Her answer would have been, nah, I feel the same. She wouldn't have noticed any difference. Hey, if she even thought about it, she would think like, oh no, she still takes the same medication. She still has all the same problems. It wasn't until her friend brought up the fact that she wasn't getting headaches anymore that she realized all of a sudden she wasn't either. She didn't have headaches anymore. And again, it was something that went away when she quit smoking, which again is pretty obvious that cigarettes were causing that perpetual problem she had in the past, and she doesn't have it anymore. Now, once again, I'm not trying to say smoking causes everything. I'm not saying quitting causes everything, but smoking causes a whole lot of problems. Some that you can feel. That was an obvious one that a person can feel. Other things it's causing throughout the body that a person can't feel. And in many cases, those are the situations which are even going to be more dangerous down the line. But if you had symptoms, if you have problems, I'm not saying to make up things that didn't happen, but if you have anything on a chronic basis that really does improve when you quit and maybe disappear at the time you quit, you need to make a mental note. And better than that, you need to make a written note of what those problems were and what those circumstances were. And then when you get the thought for cigarettes in the future, because understand, there will be thoughts for cigarettes in the future, like, boy, could I go for a cigarette right now? You want to have ammunition on your side to be able to squelch that desire, to squelch that want. And what would be more impressive for you, more powerful than what it was really like for you? Not what it was like for other people, not the list of symptoms that some people get, but problems that you had when you were smoking that improved when you quit smoking. To have that on your side as reinforcing ammunition when you get the thought to realize not only do you not want to go back to the old quantity that you used to smoke, not only do you not want to go back to the smells that you used to have when you were a smoker, what you smell like as a smoker, not only do you not want to have to go back to paying the costs you were paying for cigarettes, the insurance premiums that were going to be higher because you were a smoker, I mean just the social implications, all of those things that will come back, and then add into the equation the physical symptoms that you had, problems that were manifesting while you were smoking that aren't there anymore. And understand, if they were there before, there's a real good chance they were going to come back if you take that puff and go back to smoking. If you look at cigarettes as the package deal that they are, you will walk away from that thought at that point in time with your commitment intact, realizing you're glad you're not smoking anymore. You're glad you're not feeling that symptom anymore and all these other problems. And that you'll be able to keep this way of life, which you will realize immediately is a better way of life. As long as you want. As long as you stick to your commitment now to never take another puff.